The royal hall of the Solari Empire trembled under the weight of whispering voices as the queen entered. Her presence carried a calm that felt carved from ancient stone. Tall, silver-skinned, and crowned with a crest of pale ridges, she moved with a measure of dignity that her people called divine. The hall itself curved like an open shell, its walls shining with soft blue light drawn from the living crystals of their world. Her guards formed two lines behind her, their armor glimmering like liquid moonlight. Among them stood a single human soldier. His name was Evan. He had been assigned as a liaison guard during the fragile negotiations between Earth and the Solari. His presence among the Solari ranks was unusual but welcomed. Humans had a reputation for fierce loyalty, and the Queen had respected his discipline from the moment she met him. The ceremony was meant to be peaceful. It was a unifying event to mark the end of old disputes and the start of a shared future. Trade was beginning to flow. Joint colonies were being designed. Even their military exchanges had become symbols of trust. Yet tension always lingered in the shadows of peace. The Queen was raising her hand to begin the oath when a sharp whine cut through the air. It was the distinct sound of a charged weapon powering up. Before any guard could react, a blast shot from the far end of the hall. The energy bolt streaked like a spear of burning gold, aimed straight at the Queen's chest. Evan moved without thought. His body acted before his mind could form a plan. He lunged across the polished floor and placed himself between the Queen and the strike. The blast hit him squarely, throwing him backward like a rag tossed by a storm. He crashed against the marble steps behind the Queen and fell to the ground. His armor cracked, smoking from the impact. The hall exploded into chaos. Guards rushed to shield the Queen while others bounded toward the attacker. He was tackled within seconds, his weapon clattering across the floor. The captured figure snarled in a language none recognized. The threat was neutralized, but the hall shook with fear. The Queen knelt beside Evan. Her hands hovered above his chest, trembling with shock. The glowing wound scorched across his armor and burned into his skin beneath it. A human should not have survived such a blast, yet Evan was conscious. His breathing was ragged but determined. He forced himself upright. The Queen tried to push him back down, but he shook his head. His voice was hoarse. He said that she was unharmed, and that was enough. His dedication struck her more deeply than the attack could have. For a long moment, she felt the entire room freeze. Every Solari watched in reverence. Every human envoy stared in disbelief. It was then that she remembered the oldest law of her people. A Solari queen, who had her life saved in such a direct manner, owed the rescuer a life vow. It was a bond older than empires, older than wars, older than the stars their people had first sailed. The vow was not a casual pledge. It was a permanent merging of duty and fate. It bound the Queen to stand by the one who protected her. Among their own kind, it often led to unions of soul and throne. Never in their history had a queen granted this vow to an outsider. Especially not to a human. Evan did not know. The Queen waited until the hall had quieted and her guards formed a protective circle. She commanded silence with only a gesture. She rose to her full height, her silver skin reflecting the crystal light, and spoke with a voice steadier than her racing heart. She announced that the human soldier who had taken the attack meant for her would receive the life vow of the Queen. Gasps spread through the hall. Some Solari dropped to one knee out of instinct. Others looked stunned. The human envoys stared with wide eyes, unsure if they had heard correctly. Evan blinked in confusion. He attempted to stand again, but faltered. The Queen reached out and supported him with one arm, guiding him upward. She told him that by Solari tradition, she owed him her vow. He tried to protest. He said he had only done what any soldier would have done. But the Queen declared that intent did not matter. The vow was woven into the laws of her people. She asked him if he understood the weight of what had happened. Evan admitted he did not. She told him they would speak privately once he was healed. For now he needed medical attention. The healers rushed forward. They carried him carefully to the royal med chamber glowing with soft green light. The queen walked beside him the whole way. Every Solari who saw her guiding a human with her own hands looked on with awe. The med chamber hummed with gentle currents. Healing crystals were placed along his chest and arms. They pulsed with slow warmth. Human biology responded well to the energy, surprising even the med team. Evan drifted in and out of consciousness. When he awoke fully, hours had passed. His breathing was smooth. The wound still ached, but no longer threatened his life. He looked around and noticed the queen sitting silently nearby. She dismissed the healers. Her posture was calm, but her eyes held a depth of emotion he had not seen before. She began explaining the vow. It was a promise that tied their destinies together. By tradition, she would protect him, honor him, and share her authority with him in moments of crisis. It did not force romance, though it often grew from trust and shared purpose. The vow was, at its core, a recognition that the rescuer had altered the path of the queen's life. He listened in silence. He asked if there was a way to refuse it. She told him that she could not break the vow, but he could choose how it shaped their future. If he wished to remain a soldier, she would honor that. If he wished a position at her side, she would grant it. If he wished distance, she would accept it while still fulfilling her duty. Evan sat upright slowly. He told her he did not act to earn reward or honor. He acted because someone was in danger and he could stop it. She said that this was exactly why the vow was deserved. True courage required no audience. He asked what her people would think. The queen said that some would resist, some would question, and some would admire. She also said that it did not matter. They would adapt, just as the Solari had adapted to new worlds and new allies. The next day, her council gathered. The queen declared her vow in a formal ceremony. Evan stood beside her in simple armor, feeling out of place. The council members bowed and touched their palms to their foreheads. Some were hesitant, others sincere. The queen spoke of unity and resilience. She praised the bravery of a human who had shown loyalty without hesitation. Evan felt heat rise to his face at her words. He had never imagined his name spoken in a royal hall. Over the next weeks, Evan became part of the queen's inner circle. He joined strategy meetings, diplomatic talks, and interspecies councils. His presence brought a new perspective. He noticed gaps in their security that the Solari had overlooked. He advised on human technology and tactics. He earned respect from officers who first doubted him. The queen often asked for his thoughts during discussions. Her trust in him was unwavering. Their bond deepened, not in a rushed way, but in steady familiarity. She learned about Earth from him. He learned about the Solari from her. She showed him the way their world produced light through crystal growth. He told her stories of mountains on Earth that glowed with dawn colors. They spoke of their families. They spoke of their fears and hopes. She had always carried the weight of her throne alone. Now she had someone who saw her not only as a ruler, but as a person. Yet not all were pleased. A faction of extremists believed that giving the life vow to an outsider weakened their traditions. They whispered in dark corners. They questioned the purity of old customs. Their leader, a sharp-minded elder, plotted to undermine Evan's place. He believed that a human tied to the queen threatened their identity. The extremists began spreading rumors. They claimed the vow would corrupt the throne. Some believed them. Tension wove through the city like a tightening thread. One night, Evan noticed strange troop movements on the palace edges. His instincts sharpened. He alerted the queen. She agreed to investigate quietly. Together, They moved through the hidden pathways behind the throne hall. They heard whispers echo through the stone. The extremists planned to storm the hall, capture the queen, and declare the vow invalid through force. The queen's eyes hardened. Evan prepared for a fight, but instead of calling guards, the queen walked forward openly. She stepped into the center of the hall with Evan at her side. The extremists froze. Their leader accused her of betraying ancient traditions. The queen responded with calm authority. She said that tradition was not a cage. It was a foundation meant to support growth. She stated that the vow had been honored for generations because it recognized courage, not species. She reminded them that their ancestors had once been strangers to one another too. When the extremists refused to stand down, Evan took a step forward. He spoke not as a soldier, but as someone who had fought beside their people. He said that unity did not erase identity. He said that courage was not bound to one world. He said he would never take their place or claim their throne. He only wished to honor the promise given by the queen's tradition. The words struck the crowd. Murmurs filled the hall. The extremists found their support fading. Their leader tried to push forward, but was restrained by his own followers. The queen ordered that they be taken into custody for trial. The hall settled. Peace returned. The queen turned to Evan and thanked him. He said he only spoke the truth. She said that truth was often the bravest act. The